Okay, so today I want to discuss the. I'm not starting out very well here, am I? Twitch. Yeah, this is what I want. Stream Manager, I'm live. Okay. Excuse me. So today I want to discuss MLB 21, the show, and the spreadsheets I created. I did those basically because I got tired of wondering where I was at in progress with whatever mode I was playing in, whether it was player programs, whether it was um, the monthly awards, evolutions, or just trying to get through the inning itself. So I created a number of spreadsheets, and I'll show you a couple of them here and how they work. And if you have questions, you can contact me, and I can uh, even let you try them out if you want. Um, I've just done it for fun. It's for me. This is nothing professional, uh, but I've found them very helpful. So let's get into the base one that I use, and this is called lineup and depth chart. That's the name of this spreadsheet, and I'm going to start it up here in a second. And what it does is it takes a look at my um, lineup, or there we go. There we go. It takes a look at my inventory that I have, and I can create a depth chart and a lineup from the inventory that I have. Um, and I will show this to you here. This is it right here. Okay, so let's start with the base. This is the database, and this database comes from MLB The Show. It's part of the API download. Let me show you that real quick. So the API, if you see it over here, this is the different parts of data that's available from MLB The Show that they give you, and all you have to do is download it. I have to give credit and props to my son, Jedi Master Watt. He wrote a script to handle the download, and I'll show you how this works because it's actually pretty ingenious. So first off, what you need to know is how many pages of data there are in the API. Now, MLB 21 The Show has 25 items per page, and as you can see here, there's 125 pages. And this isn't just what I own, but this is everything, and that's what you want. You want everything. So you want to look at 125 pages. So let me open up the script that he's done here, and we'll go to PowerShell. Okay, so there's the PowerShell. Now, I've downloaded this API already. It hasn't changed since the last time I downloaded it, and that's because I did it after the 11th inning started, when pretty much everything, all new cards had stopped coming out and such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this API script. What have I done? I think I just set it to run, and I didn't want to do that. First of all, there's a folder, and I just call it. I'll just show it to you right here. It's called I just call it JSON 7, and this is what holds all the data for the API download. And I'm gonna delete everything here, and let me move this out of the way. And let me me close the PowerShell because I don't want it to be doing what it's doing here. Okay, let's open up a new PowerShell. Alright, so now I want to change the download to my JSON 7 folder. You can call it anything. It doesn't have to be JSON 7, but that's what I call it, just because it's easy. So my JSON 7 folder is under PC desktop, JSON 7. Hopefully I typed the path right. I did not. C, users, PC desktop, It'd help if I told her what I wanted it to do. Okay, so now you can see that I'm in the JSON 7 folder. And if I do a directory of that folder, it's going to show that it's empty. There's nothing there because I deleted everything in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the script that my son wrote. And you can see right in here, let's open this up a little bit more so you can see the whole script. Right here, there's it says 125 pages. Right here, 125. That's the number of pages. So when 22 comes up, or even if you want to do it now, you can put 125. But when the new year comes, this number will be small, and it will gradually change as SDS releases more cards. So right now it's 125. So now I'm going to enter this command, and it's going to start running. And you can see this. You can see it running as it fills up each page. Now each of these is 25 items of data. And this is going to take a few minutes. So while it's filling this up, let me move it out of the way and reduce this. Let me talk about the spreadsheet some more. So that's the database. That's what we're capturing right now is the database. And you can see here the UIG is the unique identifier that SDS applies to each card. Now, I didn't really like the UIG that they provided because for me it's I don't know where the card exists or what it is. Actually, this is my UIG. This is my UIG here. I'll show you their UIG. So what I did is I created my own UIG, and so what it does is it gets the overall, which is the number of the card, 99, 98, 97, whatever. The first three letters of the first name, the first three letters of the last name, the position they played, the card series abbreviation, and the team. And these are the card series abbreviations that I use for that. So that's the database, and you can see the UIG. And what the importance of it, that's the key that keeps everything individual. Each card will have its own UIG so that when I'm pulling data for a certain player, I'm sure that I'm pulling it for the right card that I want to use. So that's the database. And you can see in the database, SDS provides you with a number of fields. Now this is not all the fields they provide, and you'll see as I cut it down, I take out fields that we don't need. But that's the database in and of itself. And so then we get to inventory. Now the inventory can be as much or as little of your inventory that you like. Now I haven't done my inventory in a while, so what I'm going to do is I have a worksheet for my inventory. And and this is the data here, right here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now you can see the right side delete blanked out to no data, which is fine because it's just taking values from here. Now column K, you'll see has an error, a value error, and the reason it does that is because in this column I change the overall from a text value, which is what SDS gives you, to a number value, which makes it easier to work with when I'm sorting out cards and such. So let's get to doing this. So I'm going to, let's see, let's see here. So the first thing I do is I take the first page. But let me do this first. I'm going to change this to just the cards I own. And I'm going to do just my diamonds. I'm not going to do any more than just the diamonds, because otherwise I'm looking at copying 117 pages of data. Now in the beginning that's fine because you don't have that many cards. But right now I have more cards than what I want. So I'm going to copy this. Let me bring this back over. And I put my cursor here because you have the image that we're starting out with, and I don't want to copy the image. So I'm going to match the destination format, hit paste. And you can see that it lines up perfectly. So now I'm going to put my cursor down here. Now I'm not going to show you, let's see, I'll show you, I can only show you one thing at a time. So let me move my inventory out and move this in because this is what we're working with here. And you'll see it automatically changes the overall from a value or from a text to a numerical value, and then it brings that numerical value over into N through T. And now this is what I'm going to use to copy into my inventory tab. So let me go to the second page, and I'll just do this as quickly as I can. I probably should have done this ahead of time and just did like the last page, but you probably want to get a pretty good idea of how the whole process works. And since nobody's watching this live, that means if you do watch it, you'll do it recorded. You could always fast forward through this section if you want to. But I don't want to water this down and make it seem that it's quicker than it's not, or that it's easier, or that it comes automatically. Or you definitely have to put the work into it to get this data. But what you get out of it, for me, is very well worth it. I have a ways to go here, don't I? I'm only on 98s. Now you could do your whole inventory if you wanted to, all the way down to the commons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many there are. Um, all that matters is that you capture the data that you want to work with. And even though I don't use all of my diamonds, I probably don't go below 96 most of the time. I want to complete a pretty good depth chart. And the only time I don't use diamonds in a team is when I'm doing the daily missions for the inning, when you have to use like twins hitters or twins players or whatever, and you have to, in order to fill the team to do the number of innings you need, you have to go sometimes into even commons because you don't have enough cards for the current team that's out or whatever, or the current team has more commons than they have diamonds or golds or whatever. We're at 96s, we're getting there. Oop. Copy, there we go. Meanwhile, that script has been working, and I'm sure it's done by now. It doesn't take that long for the API to download. And I'll show you what the files look like when it's done, after I finish this inventory. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. All right, we're into the 89s. We're getting there. So, even though it does take work to do this, it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, and it all depends on your database, and it all depends on your inventory, and how much of your inventory you want to set into your depth chart, into this database, what you want to do with it. So, you get out of it what you put into it. Now, if there was a way to download your inventory, boy, that would be awesome. That would just make it really super quick. But I think the fact that SDS releases their, I just got an error. Throttle limit reached. Please try again later. What in the world did I just do? Let me get back in. I think they weren't happy with me taking all the data I was taking. So I got to 88s. All right, we'll set this aside for now. And let me go. I'll bring in the database. So here's the API, and you can see there's 125 pages here. And what my son did is he created a converter, in that script. So it takes all these JSON files and converts it into a CSV file, which can be opened in a spreadsheet. So let's set this aside, since I can't download right now because SDS wasn't happy with how many pages I was copying, apparently. So here you can see, let me auto width everything here so we can see what we have. Okay, so here's their unique identifier here in column A. I don't need that, so I'll highlight it. And MLB cards, I'm not taking anything else out of their database besides MLB cards. I'm not taking uniforms or bats or any of the other stuff that they have in their database. All I want are the MLB cards, and that's the only thing I've downloaded. So I don't need that column. I don't need any images, and that's the card images that you see here. We'll begin. We'll just delete those columns. We don't need them. Okay, so we have the name, which we need, what type of card it is, the team that the player is on for this card, and the team name that's short, we want to keep that. The overall, we want that. The series, we want that. Series texture name, we don't need a texture name. Doesn't do us any good. The year the card's released, we don't need. So we're going to delete that. The position the player is at, the secondary, we don't need the jersey number, the age, so we're going to delete those. The which way they bat, which way they throw, yes. Their height, weight, where they're born, we don't need. Are they a hitter? Yes or no? We're going to keep that. And then you have all their stats right here. And we definitely want to keep all of that information here. Okay, and then we get into images. This is where they store their images in their server. And we don't need the images, so we're going to delete that. We don't need the field rank image. That's going to be a diamond, a gold, whatever shield it is. And it shows, and we're going to delete that. These two, the pitches and the quirks, we don't need, and we weren't able to capture those appropriately anyway, but we don't need them because that's the type of pitches the pitcher has and any quirks that they have, and we're not going to use that. So maybe if we were creating a database instead of a spreadsheet, that might be useful, but we're not going to do that. And is sellable, we're going to keep that. I don't use that field that much, but we're going to keep it anyway. Okay, so now we have the fields that we want with all the cards. And you can see there's 3,109 lines, so there's 3,108 or 7 cards here. So let me move this over out of the way. And we're going to go here to the database field. So column A, my UIG, is their unique identifier. This is a formula that will read everything else. So we're not going to bother with, we're not going to delete that or go over it. So, but what we do have is all these other columns that we kept, and you can see this all the way to is sellable. And so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight, and I'll show you that so you can see it. We're going to highlight that starting with the name, and we're going to come down to the bottom of the database, and we're going to slide to the right to the is sellable. We're going to highlight this whole thing, this whole section right here. We have everything that we want to copy. So we're going to right click and hit copy. Let me move this out of the way now. And then we're going to start here. Remember, this is A2, so we're going to go to B2, which is the first name, and we're going to right click and we're going to paste it. And we're going to use numbers to paste it, values. And it's pasted. Now let's go down to the bottom, make sure, see there's a few cards here that have been added. Even though it's the same number of pages, there's a few cards that have been added. So I'm going to copy and paste this formula down. And there we go. So this is my database, and it is all the cards that they have. Now as far as the CSV goes, I'm done with it. I don't need it anymore. So now I'm just going to close it. I don't need to save everything I've done. I can keep it original. You can save it if you want, but there's no reason because you're not going to use it again. All right, so now the database is updated. Let's go back to, and let's see if I can get into the inventory page again. There we go. It's let me back in. Woohoo! See, there it is. Owned. All right, so we left off with, let's get back to inventory. Let's get down to where we were. Oh, not inventory, the inventory work tab. We got down to Willie Adams, 88 from the 42. So we're going to go to that page, which is page 24. We're already on it. So now we're going to go to page 25. And we're almost there. It's pretty funny that they cut me off. I've never had that happen before, where they've cut me off. Oh, something happened. Let me undo that and look at what. Okay, I didn't grab the picture column in the copy, and that's what happened. So I want to make sure I do that. Okay, page 26. And we're in the 87s. And we're getting close. 86s. We're into the 85s. Hey. Okay, very good. We're just going to grab the last of the 85s. I don't know how many pages of 85s there are. Let's see. That's it right here. So we got to page 29, and about halfway down 29 is where the 85 stopped. Okay, so that's all my diamonds I have, and you can see from the last time I did this to now, I have a few more cards than I did before. So I'm going to copy and paste these formulas down, Control C, Control V, and that's it for my inventory. Now, I have all these cards, and I'm going to go and copy. And let's go to the inventory page here. Now, I was just noticing that I have on the worksheet here some things that came up as zeros. Hold on a second here. So the live cards don't have anything. Let's look in the inventory and see what I've done here. Oh, okay. So I've just left the zeros in there. Okay, very good. Just want to make sure I didn't forget something. Okay, so we have this ready to copy. We're going to go to the inventory. We're going to go to the top with Eddie Murray. Again, we're going to start with the name, not the unique identifier, because we don't have the unique identifier here. And this is a formula, and it will grab the unique formula. So I'm going to just go ahead and paste values, and it's going to go down. And I have, is Jake Cronenworth the last one in here? It is. Let's go make sure, because this is telling me that it's a duplicate. So let's do a search for Nolan. And there we go. So I have this card in here twice. I added it by hand because I recently bought this card. So I'm going to delete this out. Now, if you saw some pink earlier, you weren't mistaken. And it's right up here. There's two cards that the last names are really super similar. Oh, look at this, a value for Alex Reyes. Let's take a look at Alex Reyes. He's a 96. D302. Why is it D? It should be C. So let's go back to the inventory and take a look. So this should be a 96. Regional All-Star. Okay, so for some reason the formula for that one was off. Well, I'll keep going up. I'm glad I looked at it. Okay, and that's it. No more duplicates, no more problems. Everything looks good. All right, so that's the inventory, and then that's the database. So we've solved those two things. Now, the other thing I want to show you about this spreadsheet is PXP. Now, when I'm playing the game and I parallel player, I will put their name in here, and you've probably seen Nolan Ryan's at, oh, I already, so you have Nolan Ryan and Kyle Tucker that I've recently, Kyle Tucker I just did yesterday, I got him to 1. And you can see Nolan Ryan, he's already up to a 3, but I haven't alphabetized it since then. So let me go and I will show you how I alphabetize. I'll have to take a look at that too. Alphabetize this list. So let's go to data, sort, and I go by OVR. You can do anything you want. It really doesn't matter. I go by OVR, largest to smallest, player, A to Z, and then the PXP level, or the parallel level, largest to smallest. I'm going to say OK. All right, now that's going to take those two cards at the bottom, and it mixed them in. So now all my 99s are together up here. And let's find this one card, Andrew Miller. Oh, because I don't own Andrew Miller anymore. I sold that card. Even though I got him to a PXP1, I sold it. So I'm going to take this data, and I'm going to cut and paste it, shift it up one. Oh, let's not cut and paste, let's copy. Oh, let's go back. When I cut it, it changed the formula. So let's paste it. Okay, so that's why this? I took Roberto Clemente off because he's now in the price. All right, so there's my inventory and everything looks good. So anyway, as I parallel players, I just add their name to the list. I copy and paste the unique identifier, Control C, Control V, and it says value, but as I add the data in, this will, you'll see, as I enter this, it fills. Let's go ahead and take this back out. I don't want to duplicate line. And this, the last column, where it says yes, what that's telling me is that this is a match to what I have in the database already. So for example, if I were to put line bleeder, 99, veteran, Twins, first base, and put it at a 1, okay, you can see that I created a unique identifier for this. And but what's going to happen now, Control C, copy, Control V, paste, and it's going to say not available, because that is not in the database. That information is not in the database, that card's not in the database, and so that's an error. And the reason I put that check column in is just to make sure that when I entered a card, I didn't misspell a name, I didn't get the position or anything wrong with the card. And that just verifies that the card I put in is in the database. That's all that H column, match column, is for. All right, so now I have some other columns here. So this is J through N are my parallel 5 players. Now this is a formula that automatically will pull from A through H. It pulls the data from A through H, and it will add it in. So let's say, for example, Adley Rutschman. He's a PXP1 right now. If I had changed that to 5, you can see it added him in right here at the top, Adley Rutschman. Right? If I change him to a 4, you can see it takes him out of the 5, but it added him into the 4 over here, right there. And so, and not only that, but when you look at catchers, let's change him back to a 5. Watch this. See my P5 catchers right here? Right now I have Ivan Rodriguez. Change Adley Rutschman back to a 5. Boom. And you can see the unique identifier pops up, but nothing else does. So I can just copy and paste, and then Adley Rutschman's at the top, Ivan Rodriguez is at the bottom, and it puts it in that order. Eventually, I'm going to change that so that I don't have to copy and paste the data. It will just fill in automatically. But right now, let's put Adley Rutschman back to a 1. And you can see this is error codes. And I'm going to change that eventually so those don't show up as errors. But I want to keep that there. Anyway, so this is my P5 players that I have that I've done. And I could look at this real quickly and say, okay, if I want to field a team that's all just P5 players, this is who I have, which makes it easy. Now, as far as the depth chart goes, let's take a look at what I've done for that. Now, I've looked at every position except for the pitchers. And so this is catchers. Now, these are the top catchers, and it sorts them and pulls them by their categories. So you can see contact left, power left, contact right, power right, vision, discipline, batting clutch, hitting durability, bunting, drag bunting, and then fielding durability, whatever. All the stuff, all the stats that SDS gives us, it sorts it by that. So we can take a look and say, okay, who's my best contact left catcher? Well, it's Salvador Perez, the 97 Salvador Perez card. Which is the best power left? It's the 87 Salvador Perez card. My best contact right is Travis Denard, and so on. And I can look and see for which categories what my best players are, or the best cards I have for the category that I'm interested in. And I've done this for all the infielding positions. All the fielding positions. And you can see that I have that data here. And then I have what I call my depth chart. So these are the top players for what I call overall statistics for offense. So I've taken their stats and I've created an average, and that's what it sorts it by. So by average, my best catcher is 99 Ivan Rodriguez. I have him at a P5, so his levels are higher than if it's not P5. And you can see he's my fastest running also. He's the best fielding catcher that we have. He's not a switch hitter. Adley Rutschman is a switch hitter, but he's all the way down here. He's only right-handed, but you can see his contact and power numbers are pretty good. Now, Mike Piazza, who's a P2, has better contact and better power numbers than Ivan Rodriguez does, but look at his speed is 47, and his fielding is 78. So he's not as good of a fielder and not as good at running as Ivan Rodriguez. So it just depends on the give and take on what you want in your positions. For example, let's look at first base. Albert Pujols. Now, he has the highest numbers for contact and power, and he's also the second best in fielding. Max Muncy is on 96, Robert Pujols is an 89. But his speed is slow. He's a 66, as opposed to Rod Carew, who's an 82. So with Rod Carew, I can get 125 contact, which is the same as Albert Pujols, but look at his power is 53 on the left and 75 on the right. So again, it just depends on the statistics that you want to use when you're playing. And so from this depth chart, one more thing. Let's look at the catchers. Now, these catchers aren't by or pitchers. These pitchers aren't by their pitching ability. They're by their offense ability. And they're hitting and they're running. So as you can see, Ohtani, of course, is at the top because he's a two-way player. And look at his speed as a 91. He's fast. And then when you get down to relief pitchers, you can see Matzik is number 1 for and again, this is for hitting, not for their pitching abilities. Um, I didn't do this for their pitching abilities. And so when we get to the lineup now, I can say, okay, what lineup do I want to use? Okay, right now I'm working on Nolan Ryan. I'm trying to get him to P5. So who do I want as a catcher? I can go down my list of who's in my depth chart, and I can pick the catcher I want to work on. So you can see Mike Piazza is a P2. But if I change it to Ivan Rodriguez, you can see these stats change here, and my batting order changes. Now the batting order I have here on the left, this is just numerical. You can change it as I want. I put it in and out. But you'll see my batting order change down here because the catcher I have in the 8th position. Let me put it back to Mike Piazza, and you can see Mike Piazza changes down here. And so I have this that I can put up on the screen, so when I'm batting, you initially don't see their power and their contact. And their contact and power that I have here is an average of their left and right. So it just depends on the pitcher that they're going against. Now I've put down here a column here for the opposing pitcher, the pitcher that they're facing, if it's a left or a righty. And my intent is to eventually change this formula so that it will pull either their left or their right contact depending on the pitcher that they're facing, instead of just an average of the two. Just because that's what that'd be more helpful. But anyway, regardless, I can have this on the screen because when you have a player up to bat, you don't initially see what their power and their contact is until after they've taken a swing. And this will give me a good idea of what their contact and power is ahead of time, and what their speed is on the base path. So that's the depth chart. And you can see I have these other tabs. These are just sorting tabs that help put everything in place. So as you can see, I have, let's look at the catcher. So I don't have any other catchers, but I have a couple first basemen here that aren't in. So I will copy and paste, and then I will copy across. And this is just the maintenance for this spreadsheet. As you increase your players and your inventory, this will increase also, and then I'll paste, and you can see it automatically puts those numbers in there for me. And then I'll go to second base. Well, let's go back to first base. I want to make sure my cursor is here because I want to make sure I have that formula sitting there so I know if it needs to be expanded. So second base, I have someone new. We'll do the same thing. Copy, paste. Now the card at the bottom isn't necessarily the new card. The new card could have been inserted into the middle somewhere. It just depends on where it falls in the statistics. And then I have my spreadsheet there, or my formula there. Third base, I lost a couple third basemen. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's delete those, and we'll come back and we'll delete this. I must have sold them, which is fine. Okay, let's look at shortstop. Okay, I don't have any new shortstops. Left field, nothing. Center, I sold a center fielder. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this line of data. Okay, right field, nothing new. Okay, I have a new starting pitcher that's not in here, so let's copy and paste. Okay, and let's make sure I have a formula sitting there waiting. I do. Relief pitchers, I've sold. Oh wait, I want to keep that formula there. Okay. And closing pitchers. I sold the closing pitcher too. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete them out of here. It just keeps it clean, is all it does. Keeps my sorters clean, and those are just help tabs to make sure I have everything lined up the way I want it here. Okay, so that's basically the lineup and depth chart spreadsheet. Most of the time when I'm playing a game, I keep it here on the PXP tab so that I can add any players or change any parallel statuses that I have during the game that I'm playing. And let's go ahead and save this, and we'll move it out of the way. Let's bring up the PowerShell. PowerShell we're done with, so I can close the PowerShell, or I can just type exit, or yeah, exit. Thought I had it wrong there for a second. I'm done with the script. Don't need the script anymore. And okay. So let's look at the next spreadsheet that I use. It's called Inning Tracker. Let me close this. Save it. And let's pull up Inning Tracker. So right now I have this on the 11th inning because that's what I'm doing. But I have a dashboard here that I was using for everything before. I would just change it as the innings went along. And the reason I didn't do this with the 11th inning, because the 11th inning is completely different than all the others. It doesn't end for, what, 10 years or whatever. And you have to get to 2 million XP to finish it. But as you can see, what I've done here is, for a typical inning, it's 650,000 XP. And I type in, this is just hand typed in, the reward path and the points, the point levels for the reward path. So as I'm playing a game, I know where I'm at. So say for example I play a game and I get 1700 XP for the game. I will put that in there, and then that will tell me that I have 593,931, and my next step is going to be 620,000. Let's bring this down so I have a good. Let's go back. Let's go to 500,000. Okay, so now you can see how it works. So 500,000. So now this is telling me I have 501,700 XP. My next step is 530,000, and I have my amount to next step. I need to get 28,300 XP to get to my next step. For my missions, I could put in, if I do a mission, if I do moment, if I do an exchange, and like if I'm doing conquest and I get XP points for doing a conquest, I can do that here. So that adds everything up, and it lets me know now. See, it says I'm at 504,000. Now, my next game I play, say I get 3,000 for the game. So that's going to tell me I have 4,700 4,700 XP. So now I can go over here and change this to 4,700, take out the 3,000, and it updates. So this is just helps me so I don't have to keep going back to the inning page to find out, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to earn, what's the next level, and or whatever. I have it all right here, and I can have this up while I'm playing. I even added in a little narrative here that tells me how I'm doing and what I need to do by day. So I know minimum number of XP I need to get per day. So if we look at the 11th inning right now, we can see that I have 1.6 million XP to earn in 3,260 days. And I'm way above the average of what it would be over 10 years. I'm not going to take 10 years to play it, but it tells you how much XP you need. And you can see right now I'm at 319,000, just over. My next step is 330,000 where I get a second inning boss. And you can see on the left in column C, it shows you my last step was 310,000. I got the kitchen sink one choice pack. So this is my basic inning tracker that just keeps me up to date. Now I also have in here the teams. Now when you go to a team, when you're playing the CPU, you can see it has their overall, their basic team stats. And I initially would put this in here so I could look and say, okay, how competitive of a team do I want to play for any given certain situation against the CPU? And these are the teams and what their stats are. Now those stats change throughout the year. Whenever they do a roster update, those stats will change, so you have to keep that up to date. And then I have column H where I have played, so I can keep track. So I don't play the same team a lot every time. I don't use this tab a lot, but I have used it a little bit here and there. Now, PXP. This is another tab that I've used so that I don't have to keep guessing where I'm at. When you finish a game, you have a progress, and you have I think it's a parallel tab you can look at. And it will tell you where the players are that you used, how much PXP they earned during that game or whatever. And I have this here to help me when I'm working on a player. I can keep track. I don't have to keep going back to their card to see where they're at, and I know how far it's going to go. I have the collections, and I have this tab for when I was doing my collections. So I knew how many cards I needed from each category to get that collection done. And that was very helpful. So, excuse me, I knew where to go to get cards, or what cards I needed to get a certain collection that I wanted. It came up for bosses. Who was the boss for what innings? And as you can see, there are no bosses for the 11th inning. And so I kept track of the bosses for each inning and which ones I'd own. And during the course of the year, I ended up getting more bosses that I would either buy or somehow come across. And then you have the daily moments. And I didn't start doing this until October because I wanted to see if there were any trends in the daily moments on what they gave you in the path rewards, what if there was their goals or the tasks that they gave you, if there was any similarities or trends for that. I did this just mostly out of curiosity, just to keep track of it. And then I just have a helper, and that's for the dashboard, and you can see the 11th inning I've put in. And before, like I said, I was just changing the dashboard for each inning. What I'm going to do for 22 is I will have a tab for each inning so I can compare to see if there's any similarities. So that's my inning tracker that I use. Those are the two spreadsheets that I use the most when playing MLB The Show. And I find them helpful so that I don't have to keep going back and forth. I can stay in the mode. If I'm in a conquest, I can stay in the conquest and just keep playing, and I know where I'm at. I know what I'm going to get. I know, what I have to do to get what I want to get. And that's that. I do have other spreadsheets, quite a few number of spreadsheets that I have. Evolution programs that I've done, monthly awards that I've done, player programs, and I can go into those, and also team affinity that I've done, spreadsheets that I've done to keep track of those as well. And if there's interest, if anyone shows interest, I can go into those and do a stream on that as well to see. But as far as that goes, when I stream and I'm playing, sometimes I'll say, oh, hey, let me put this into the database. But I never had any reference to let my viewers know what I was actually doing. So now you know the spreadsheets that I'm using that I created. And that's basically what I'm going to go on now. Now I'm going to fire up the show and take a look at what I need to do today. I think I have a conquest map I want to take on. I haven't finished the Team Affinity ones, and I think I have Central Team Affinity Central 2. I think is the next one for me to do, and that I will tackle. So I'm going to stop this stream, get on my PlayStation, and start that up, and I'll start a stream when I start playing. So I hope you found this informative and you enjoyed it.